Welcome to the Automation Unplugged podcast, the podcast for technology professionals, featuring leading industry personalities. I'm your host, Ron Callis.
Let's get started.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Automation Unplugged Marketing Experts. I'm your host, Catherine Wheeler, and I'm so glad that you're all here. Today's episode is called They Clicked, Now What? The Integrator's Guide to Campaign Follow-Up. Launching a marketing campaign is always exciting. There's strategy, creativity, and the thrill of seeing all the leads roll in. But let's be real, generating interest is only step one. Now that you've invested in marketing, how do you turn that lead into an actual customer? I call it finishing the drill. But in today's episode, we're going to be talking all about campaign follow-up, why it matters, how to do it well, and the common mistakes other AV integrators make when they drop the ball after the click. If you want to get the most out of your marketing investment and actually close more business, this episode is for you. Very excited to bring in our guest for today. He is an account manager here at One Firefly. He's been helping integrators grow their business through smart, data-driven marketing, and he's got a background in account management across tech and automotive. He really knows how to turn strategy into results. When he's not working, he's into jujitsu, spending time with his dog, and enjoying life with his fiance. Let's welcome Keith Kearney to the show today. Keith, it's great to have you here.
Hey, Kat. Thanks for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
I hear that. Let's do a little intro for you. Can you tell our viewers all about yourself and what you do here at One Firefly?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am part of the account management team here, working with integrators all across North America and sometimes even beyond that. Not often, but sometimes. My main prerogative in my role is to help clients make sense of their marketing strategy, launching campaigns, reporting, but more importantly, converting all of those good leads into real business.
I love it. And just for all the viewers out there, I embarrassed Keith a little bit today. I stole all of the pictures from the slides today from his wedding website because Keith is getting married here in 2 months?
Just under 2. It is crunch time.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so let's start out with the basics of what we're talking about today. Integrators out there have invested in marketing, and that's not the end of the story, right? So why do you think so many integrators struggle with following up effectively after they run a campaign?
Yeah, so I think there's a few big reasons for that. One being so many integrators are focused on the install and project execution side. That follow-up could really feel like more of a nice to have rather than the core business function that it is. In addition to that, there's really, I notice many people struggle with, some people are really good at, but having a lack of a defined process. So nobody really quite owns it. A lead may get bounced around and ultimately end up being lost just in the daily shuffle of things. And then additionally to that, kind of some assumption making going on. You know, if you don't hear back from that individual or that business on the first attempt, there might be some assuming that that party isn't interested when you and I will obviously tell anyone that marketing, sales, it's all about touch points. So following up not only early, but often. So not assuming somebody's not interested just because they haven't responded to the first outreach. So those are off the top a few notable considerations.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to look at it. I think as people, with everything we do in life, not just marketing or follow-up, we sort of think everybody acts the way that we act or has that same kind of, response to things, and we can't put ourselves into things. We have to not assume.
No, absolutely. You know what happens when you assume.
Yeah, yes, we do. So tell me, so we know why people don't follow up or what happens when you don't follow up, but what does successful follow-up look like? How do integrators know if they're getting it right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that successful follow-up is 3 things. It's fast, consistent, and intentional. So I know that your boss, Kendall, has probably told you in the past, she's certainly told me at least, she's used the phrase speed to lead. And, that does matter. I mean, that quick response does give you the best chance to convert that business. But that's actually not something you and I have discussed so explicitly in the past. What does speed to lead mean to you?
I think, kind of like we were just discussing, when people are when they think enough about you to either respond to an event that you held or respond to an email that you sent or respond to a social media post that's out there, it's on their mind right then. And so you want to capitalize on that, that moment that they're interested, that they're engaging, and not wait a week for them to forget about it or move on to other things, right?
Yeah,
There's momentum there.
absolutely. And, in addition to that, I think using a CRM is so important. And, again, you'd be surprised, I'm sure from your own experience, that a lot of people don't use a CRM, or they don't use it effectively or properly, you could say. And you need to be able to track those efforts, those outcomes, as well as having just that visibility in an organization. I'll speak to people and they'll say, yeah, it went here, but what happened once it went there? And if you're able to make those notes within the CRM, it increases that visibility and allows you to measure those action items. And even to build on that, I think that treating the leads or the response to a lead coming in as part of the customer experience is critical. It's not just a checkbox item. Okay, we did it. Let's wait. Having that concierge-like service from the point of initial contact throughout the entire process is going to go a really long way. So, not just checking a box, really treating it as part of the customer experience.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I kind of love what you said there. There's two sides to this, right? Of using a CRM to track. One, you can be reminded of the actions that you made and either, not overwhelm somebody or know when it's too long since you reached out. But also you can kind of explore those wins and losses and see what worked and what didn't, and, refine your strategy and make yourself better as time goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't touch on the ability to even coach out of a CRM. You're able to see, hey, what went right here? Or maybe more importantly, what went wrong here? How do we avoid that in the future? And, that all just goes into the overall importance of a CRM. And, it doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be elaborate. It is a project to get yourself and your business on a CRM, but it just needs to be used.
No, I appreciate that. Okay. Now, Keith, I think that my favorite part of any of these episodes is when we get to play a game.
I've been
I
waiting.
like the game. I know. I'm very excited about it. So today's game is called Keep It or Delete It. And what we're trying to decide here is you're going to tell me, very succinctly, because we got a lot of these to get through, but whether integrators should keep this particular follow-up tactic or delete it. It's an ineffective tactic and it's just a waste of time. Like we want people to be out there doing things that garner results, not just doing things for the sake of doing them, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So keep it or delete it. That's the name of the game. You ready, sir?
I'm ready to play.
All right, great. So the first one is immediately calling a lead after a form submission. Keep it or delete it.
I think we covered it already. Keep it.
Yeah.
Speed builds trust, and we're already working on that customer experience. So I would say keep it 100%.
Yeah. Professionalism, momentum, all of those things that come in. This is not like dating. There's no 3-day rule, right?
Nope. It is as soon as possible.
Okay. Sending personalized campaign specific emails.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Let's keep it. That type of tailored messaging means higher conversions. The receiving party knows that this message is in response to specifically what they clicked on or inquired about. And it's just, going and adding that personal touch, or what feels like that personal touch, leads to higher conversion. So I definitely am going to sit in the camp of keep it.
Okay. I agree. Adding campaign leads to your general newsletter list immediately.
I would love to say keep. I'm going to say delete with a caveat.
Okay.
Here's the reason for that.
Yeah.
What I find not a lot of the time, but occasionally, right, is that somebody might submit a lead. They might be price shopping, or it might be, they're not truly serious, right? And I think that adding this contact to our email client list very soon in that process makes a ton of sense. As soon as that relationship is at least in part established, but right out the gate, we had a lead come in, which we haven't truly investigated or know much about. I would say in that sense, delete. But I would say keep in the regard of adding them to that client list soon. But let's establish a bit of a relationship first, because what you don't want to see is a non-serious person, doesn't want to receive that message, contributes to a bounce rate, unsubscribe rate. So just establish it a little bit first in my mind, and then add them to that list. So I'm going to say keep and delete here.
No, I see what you're saying. So you're what I think what you're getting at is qualify that lead, and as soon as it's qualified, immediately move it into that newsletter, because regardless of if they turn into a customer immediately, 6 months, a year from now, you still want to keep that connection.
Yeah. So let's say qualify it a little bit. So maybe delete isn't wholly accurate. Maybe I'll lean back to keep, but with a caveat, as opposed to delete with a caveat.
I think we understand where you're going with it. I think it's a really solid point.
Beautiful.
Okay. Now, this one's an interesting one as well. Using automated text to schedule appointments.
I love it. I love it, especially if you integrate that system into your CRM. Now we're talking next level stuff here. That's great for after hours operation. It's great in reducing friction. It's trackable too. And then it is able to have that automation built in, but it doesn't remove the human factor either. So, you might have that automated message go out. Hey, thank you for contacting XYZ integrator. We're not in office right now. It's the weekend, but feel free to let us know what times work for you or when we could schedule, and then somebody will follow up at the earliest convenience. So it goes back to letting the party who submitted that lead, they know they're heard. They know that we're on it. We're just not in the office right now, or it's an evening and nobody's around to field that right now. But somebody will certainly do that in the morning. So I love an automated text to schedule appointments. I'm going to keep it.
I love that too, because I think, again, it leads to the value of the business. It leads to establishing professionalism and trust and a better customer experience, because again, in that moment, they want to talk to you. They feel heard, they feel valued, they're ready to make a next action.
Absolutely. I love automated text. Not enough people use them, but I do love them.
Okay. All right. I think I know what you'll say to this one, but follow up once and never again.
Keep. I'm just kidding. Delete forever. We need a structured cadence here. We need not one and done outreach. We definitely want to follow up again. All about touch points.
Okay. And is it following up only in one way, like only over the phone, or is it following up in all of the ways?
I would say following up in all of the ways. Email, text, call, doing what you can to win that business, and adding to that early on customer experience. So follow up on any avenue which makes sense, and really try to earn that business.
Okay. And I think we talked about this a little bit already, and I know what you're going to say here, but it never hurts to repeat this. Tracking every lead meticulously in a CRM.
I love it. I'm going to keep it, because you can't grow if you don't measure. If your visibility is low, you're not going to grow. Well, we could quote that one. But everybody across the organization should be able to see where a lead stands relatively easily. That might not be their job function, but if they're curious, they should be able to. So I'm a huge proponent of not only tracking in your CRM, but leaving, and people have experienced this with me internally, for better or worse, leaving detailed notes for where something stands. So I'm going to keep it.
Well, and it's also true, if you have an organization that isn't just one person, other people in that organization can help and follow along if they, touch that same customer in another way. They can see what that history is and aren't going in blind.
Yeah, absolutely. And even speaking from our own internal experience, maybe we're working with somebody that's engaged us for digital marketing in 2025, and they did before, or they did some work with us in the past in 2020. And I am able to see that because Stephen, Josh, Kat left all these wonderful notes on the account. So not only are you tracking that lead and able to see where that stands, you're also setting future people who you might not even know yet up for success, because they're able to see the results of your conversations, the type of work, or the type of person that's engaged us in the past. So it just sets people that you aren't even familiar with yet up for success. So I would definitely keep that one.
Love it. Okay. All right. Here's a good one. Delaying follow-up intentionally for a few days.
I am going to delete that one. Life is going to happen. Your kid's going to have a birthday party. You're going to be, traveling or away or something of that effect, right? Sometimes you can't get that communication out immediately. Automated text would be very good to hit that stopgap with. But, generally the expectation is not going to be as such that you need the solution for that person right this second, generally speaking. But a confirmation of receipt or say, hey, we have this, we're looking at it, we'll follow up more meaningfully as soon as possible. That goes a long way. So I am going to delete the original point of delaying follow up intentionally for a few days.
Okay. What about sending handwritten thank you notes to high value leads?
Oh, I love that. I am going to keep that every day of the week. You and I have actually had these types of discussions with people in the past. It's a big differentiator, especially in luxury, right? Leaving things behind. And, that could be as fabulous and extensive as you want or as simple as you want. It could be, leaving behind some pens and a handwritten thank you note and a QR code to review us, or it could be bottles of wine or whatever the case may be. But just leaving that thing there so that you're continued to be thought about. I think that's a huge undervalued aspect of the overall project. So I'm going to keep that.
Okay. How about posting a general thank you message on social media after a campaign ends?
I like this in part. If you said a personal thank you, I would keep it. But because it was stated as such a general thank you message, I'm going to delete it. Reason being is that we want to be personal, we want to be direct, targeted, and we want it to feel intentional. If we're just speaking generally, I don't think that's going to go a far way. But through personalization, now we're cooking. So as far as this point's concerned, I'm going to delete it. But like I said, if it was posting a specific or personalized thank you message, I would keep it. So
yeah, I mean, I agree. I think personal is the watchword here. We're in an industry where you're in people's homes, and there's a level of intimacy, a level of trust with that. And so being broad and generic isn't really what serves us well.
Nope, I totally agree with that.
All right. Well, okay. Let us dive in a little bit to campaign follow-up and some of the tactics therein. Thank you for playing the game with me. You're the only contestant today, so obviously you win.
Oh, what do I win?
Nothing. You just won. Pride. Pride is what you win, Keith. Pride.
That's all I need. Just as long as my ego's fed, we're good.
All right. Okay. Well, I think we touched on some of these as we went along, but let's get into the deets. Starting with the basics. Speed. Timely follow-up is critical. But talk about why it matters. What happens if you're not Speedy Gonzalez on leads when they come in?
Yeah, so I mean, we've said it a little bit to this point. So just kind of restating where we've gotten to this point, the importance of a timely follow up really can't be overstated. There is a short window where you're A, top of mind, and B, have the ability to build trust with someone who you probably don't know yet. And then even considering it further, they might be talking to the integrator next door, or they might be price shopping and seeing what's the right fit for me and my family, or my business if it's a commercial lead. So there's a small window of time where you're top of mind and have that ability to build trust. And another quotable for you that I dreamed up was, the greater the delay, the greater the decay. The decay in what, you might ask? Trust.
Ooh,
Right? Not bad.
like
Not
that.
bad.
Very
So,
nice, Keith.
I know we could write that one out, but even a simple acknowledgement, like we said in the game there. Hey, can't deal with this, at least in a meaningful sense right now. The bid's not going to come out tomorrow, but hey, I am interested in you. You're heard, and I want to learn more. Easy. We could sort the rest out as we go together here, but at least getting that acknowledgement out. And I find that even in my own role as an account manager, it's super duper powerful. People might come to me or hit my inbox with, hey, Keith, I need XYZ, or I'm curious about, okay, well, I need to speak to the web team or the ads team or whomever. But if I'm able to say, hey, exactly that, I'm going to follow up with you. Please expect a more meaningful response in timeline. that firms up that trust in me as the account manager. So you don't need to have every answer right away, but you do need to acknowledge the request or their feeling right away. And I think that's really, the critical point to me as far as, why that's so important.
All right, now let's take it the other way. I don't know why this is on my mind today, why I'm like using all of these relationship metaphors, but this is where I am at this moment. So just let me have it.
Okay.
Let's talk about the bad side of that, the opposite side. Can you go overboard in communication, essentially love bombing, like just too much communication to where it turns somebody off?
You could. You absolutely could. It's about striking a balance, and I am guilty of a few things in my life. One being long-winded, and one potentially sending too many follow-ups. So I could relate to that. It's about striking a balance. You want to be respectful to that other person, and your top priority as the integrator may not be their top priority. They might just be casually researching, and maybe that turns into something in a month, 6 months, 2 years, you don't know, but at least letting them know, hey, we're here for you, having a respectful, regular cadence. And then what will happen will happen. But you definitely don't want to love bomb them necessarily. That might do more damage than good. So while we're talking about the importance of a timely follow-up and cadence and structure, you do want to be cautious not to be overbearing.
Understood. All right. Well, let's talk about tools a little bit because we talked about CRMs, we've talked a little bit about automations, but how using all of these tools, and they're wonderful tools out and new tools coming out every day to help you automate and use AI and this, that, and the other thing. How do we strike the right balance between using tools to help us do our jobs more efficiently, provide a better customer experience, but also, again, not sounding robotic, being personal, being who somebody wants to work with?
Yeah. So I think if the question is, how we're using tools, right? We're talking about automation. We're talking about AI. AI is becoming more relevant in just broad strokes, just in life every day, especially on the internet. So using automations, using AI. My opinion and conviction is that automation should add to the human element. It should not take away from or replace it. Uh, Again, another thing I dreamed up was that um, automation should set the table, but not serve the meal.
Did you spend the weekend coming up with one-liners? Because I am here for it.
I take my preparation very seriously, Kat. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, all around winner. We're going to need these written down. We're going to have to do some quotable moments with you, Keith, because nailed it.
That's what I'm here for. Quotes.
Okay. Well, what are some fails? What are some common pitfalls? What are some of the things you work with a lot of integrators across the country and internationally, but what are some common mistakes that you see people making when it comes to follow up, whether it's delays, missed opportunities, or even tone? What should people, as they're kind of integrating this into their marketing practice or their sales practices, what can they look for, as mistakes they could be making?
Yeah. I would say that a couple of things that come top of mind there, at least. There's no clear owner. Who
Mhm.
who is going to be following up? When are they going to be following up? If it's everybody's job to follow up, nobody's going to follow up. So establishing who owns that, one or two, or how many ever people within a business, but knowing whose role it is to conduct that follow up is critical, and that lends itself to is not having a process. Some person may reach out once, twice, and then move on. But if you have an established cadence inside your business for, okay, lead came in, here's follow up 1, 2, 3, and the avenues at which you'll be following up, that's going to make it much more frictionless, or have less friction in that process. And then tracking. If you're not documenting follow-ups, you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants to an extent. So that goes back to a conversation we had earlier about CRMs. You need to be tracking outcomes in your CRM as well. So those are three major common pitfalls that I have seen, and I'm sure to some extent we'll continue to see, but I hope I see it less.
Well, speaking of, since you do see a lot out there in your role, what are some really good examples of success stories that you've seen when an integrator has really nailed their follow-up game, or somebody who's turned a quick response into a big, like, what have you seen? What are some wins? I need some wins.
Yeah, I mean, so overall, I'd say just a, a few come to mind, but I won't speak out of school based on that client.
Well, we
But
don't have to name names. We don't name names, but we can tell stories.
oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen it a million times. This is an anecdote I typically use when I'm describing the importance of tracking and documenting your leads. Is an individual receives a lead to install some dimmer switches in a doctor's house, and next thing you know, yeah, they did the doctor's house. They put his dimmer switches in, but they did his entire Lutron shading system. Now he's doing the doctor's office and his friends' offices. So, just I suppose where I'm going with that, and this is a little adjacent to your point, is that following up and having that routine customer experience, no matter what the size of the job is, could result in something really significant for you. So I'd say treating all leads equally, but also another one that comes to mind is I'll actually have one of they don't mind if we mention them. It's
No, no names. We don't name names.
Mm.
Okay, go ahead. Name a name. It's fine. Go ahead.
It's our friends in Hawaii.
It's Hawaii. Okay.
We'll actually have dedicated meetings where we sit down together, cut out an hour quarterly, and review our lead sheets, run that against their CRM. And then we're able to identify blind spots. Hey, this went here, this went there. I don't know where this went. This turned into X. So really a big win is taking the time to sit down with your leads, whether they be from one Firefly or they be just in your CRM, and whether it be with Keith or your internal staff. But really spending the time to understand those, where they're coming from, how they're followed up with, and that's going to lead to better results for you.
Yeah, because a lot of that comes, a lot of information can come out of those, and not only just which ones did we win, are we actually getting any actionable leads out of this, but more of, well, which ones did we lose and why did we lose them, and what percentage of return? Because a lot of people can be out there saying, well, my marketing's not working, I want to try something new. But in reality, it is what you're doing with those leads isn't working or converting. Have you seen that happen?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen CRMs that are not fully utilized and the attribution isn't quite understood. So the question is, well, what's marketing doing? But you're not you haven't set yourself up in a position to actually understand what marketing is doing. We can report till we're blue in the face, right? And I think at times I do, but you need to be able to understand the data, understand the generation and flow of those leads once it leaves our hands or any marketing agency's hands and becomes an internal item for you to work on and win that business.
Okay. Well, good stuff, Keith. I appreciate this. But before we wrap up, I have to ask one question. So let's put yourself out here. Before we wrap up, have you ever personally botched any follow-up? So any fun stories or memorable lessons that you learned by any personal fails?
Oh, golly. Well, let me answer the question very basically, or in its foundational sense. Yes, I have certainly botched a follow-up. As of July 2025, I'm still a human. I've still dropped a ball or a plate, just like anybody else. And what I hear back from my clients or what I hear back from internal members of our team is, my communication is generally very strong, but I have botched it in the past. But I think that my main message in that, although I can't think of one specifically, but if I do, I'll certainly slack you and tell you the whole story, or we could do a part two here. But the primary thing I want to get at, if we don't take anything else from this, and hopefully there's a lot to take away from it, but just making sure you're responsive, making sure that you're doing what you can to make that emotional connection with the other party. Again, not everybody generally needs an answer right away, but when you can make a person feel heard, you're building trust or reaffirming trust or creating an emotional connection. And that applies to my clients, the integrator, and that applies to my clients' clients, their customer. So if you're able to be responsive, on time, proactive, and have that process built out, you're going to see results from that. whether that be more relationships, hopefully more business. So that's my dialogue on it.
Love it. Well, I think there was a lot to take away from today. So I'll tell you what I learned from you today, or what at least was really good for me to rehear from you today. And that is speed matters. The faster you follow up, the more likely you are to win the business. There's like the golden window there you can set a tone with. Secondly, don't lose the human touch. Yes, automation and tools and all of the good things that we use are wonderful, but being a person, being a real human is still a valuable part to all of our businesses, right?
Still got to serve the meal.
Yeah. Okay. Say it one more time.
Oh, you still have to serve the meal. Let automation set the table, and the human will still serve that meal.
Yeah. Okay. It's a good. Yes, we're going to use that. It's going to become a thing. Okay. And then third, tracking everything. So just making sure that you keep good notes and that you're detailed in what you do, right? So that you have visibility and other members of your team have visibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you mind if I drop one more quotable before we head out?
Oh my God, do it. Let's hear it.
Here we go. Fast doesn't mean frantic.
Oh, I like that one too.
I'm telling you, I got busy thinking of things over the weekend, but fast does not equal frantic. Have a plan, be ready, understand your process. It does not have to be haywire and crazy. It can be very organized and feel very natural. You just have to do that work on the back end to build that plan out.
I love it. Yeah, because at the end of the day, effective follow-up separates average results from exceptional results, right?
Absolutely.
So I like you're being fast, not frantic, because you're not going to win them all. But knowing what works and what doesn't and having a standard process can make you more successful and understand the difference in what makes you win and what makes you lose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Keith, I want to say thank you again for coming on the show today, because I have learned a lot and I really appreciate you taking the time to get those quotable moments out there. I think you've had a lot of really good one-liners that we can all take with us, and that was very cool. So before we let you go, I just want to say a big congrats on your upcoming wedding, because that's a very huge milestone. We're all very excited for you.
Oh, thank you very much.
And for those of you watching and listening who found this helpful, we want you to like and subscribe and share with somebody who you know might benefit in your office or anywhere else. So Keith, if somebody wants to connect with you, where can people connect with you to maybe learn more about your process or how you follow up, or some good tips and tricks?
Yeah, absolutely. You could reach out to me at any time you'd like at my email address, which I believe is listed below. Yep, it is. That is Kearney@onefirefly.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn under the same alias, Keith Kearney. It's actually Keith-Kearney I'm seeing now. So I am on LinkedIn as well. Or you can always reach out to Kat, who will reach right back out to me.
I will. So again, thank you so much, Keith, for being on the show today. And thank everybody out there who is listening. Love to have you. And we will see you next time on another episode of Automation Unplugged Marketing Experts.
Right on. Thank you so much.